Level 1. The Initiate. The door closes behind you. Heavy wood. Brass lock. No handle on your side. 8 men sit around the table, their faces half lit by a single green banker's lamp. No phones. No windows. Just polished oak, quiet breathing, and the slow ticking of a clock somewhere in the walls. You realize something immediately. This room has existed longer than you have. The man at the head of the table slides a thin envelope across the surface. Your name is written on it in fountain pen. You know the rules, he says. You nod, even though you don't. Inside the envelope is a key, a black membership card, and a list of 3 instructions. Do not speak about this room. Do exactly what you're told. Never ask who benefits. You leave that night with the strange feeling that something irreversible just happened. At first, nothing dramatic changes. You still wake up at the same time, still go to the same job, still drink coffee at the same cafe. But the calls start. Short calls. A man you've never met asks you to attend a charity dinner and report who arrives late. Another asks you to deliver a sealed package to a law firm downtown. You do it. No questions. A week later, $7,500 appears in a new bank account that was opened in your name without your involvement. You begin to understand something. This society runs on obedience, not brilliance, not courage, obedience. Your role is simple. Watch, carry, report. You sit in meetings but never speak. You hear conversations about investments, legal favors, political donations, numbers in the millions. You're invisible in the room. That's intentional. An initiate is a test. The society wants to see if you can follow instructions without curiosity, if you can ignore things that should disturb you, and slowly you begin to change. At first, the silence feels heavy, then it becomes comfortable. You stop wondering what the packages contain. You stop wondering why certain people receive favors. You stop wondering who the society actually serves. Because every time you obey, the envelope gets thicker. And every time you hesitate, someone older in the room watches you carefully. 3 months later, the envelope on the table contains a new key, silver this time, and a single sentence. Level 2 begins tonight. Level 2. The Courier. Your first real task arrives at 2:13 a.m. A black car waits outside your building. The driver doesn't introduce himself. You drive 40 minutes to a private airstrip. A small jet sits on the runway, engines humming. Inside the cabin is a briefcase, locked. You're told to take it to a hotel in Geneva by noon. No security, no escort, just you. That's the job of a courier. Movement, information, money. You carry things that can't be mailed and shouldn't exist on paper. The briefcase contains $2.4 million in bearer bonds. You only learn that later. At the time, all you know is that men twice your age treat you with quiet respect when you arrive, because couriers are trusted. Trust is rare here. Your assignments multiply. Cash deliveries, encrypted hard drives, legal documents signed under false names. Sometimes you fly commercial, sometimes private. Sometimes you drive across borders where no one checks your trunk. You never open the packages, not once. That's the rule. A courier who opens a package stops being a courier, and sometimes stops being alive. You're paid well. $40,000 one month, $75,000 the next. None of it touches your official records. The money arrives through shell companies, consulting fees, advisory payments. You learn the society's first real law. Money is not the currency. Discretion is. The men above you watch carefully. They monitor delays, hesitation, curiosity. One courier before you asked what was inside a diplomatic pouch he was carrying. He disappeared 3 weeks later. No announcement, no explanation, just an empty chair in the meeting room. You stop thinking about it. Instead, you focus on efficiency, flights, transfers, deadlines. Within a year, your name circulates quietly inside the organization. Reliable, calm, professional. The society rewards that, because couriers move the blood through the system, and the system is much larger than you realized. One night during a meeting, the man at the head of the table speaks to you directly for the first time. You've done well. He slides a black folder toward you. Inside are names, judges, executives, politicians. You're no longer just moving money. You're moving influence. You've reached level 3. Level 3, the operator. Operators solve problems, not small ones, real ones. Your first assignment is simple on paper. A state senator is about to expose a financial connection between one of the society's shell companies and a private military contractor. The exposure would cause complications. Your job is to prevent it. You don't threaten him. You don't bribe him. Operators rarely do anything that obvious. Instead, you study. You spend 2 weeks learning everything about the senator's life, his marriage, his finances, his college years, the nonprofit foundation his wife runs. You find a quiet irregularity in the foundation's accounting, a mistake worth $280,000, nothing criminal, just messy enough to look dangerous if the wrong journalist sees it. You arrange a meeting, private, calm. You slide the accounting file across the table. You don't threaten him. You simply explain how complicated public investigations can become, especially when multiple financial stories emerge at the same time. The senator understands immediately. 3 days later, the investigation disappears. You report back to the society. No celebration, just quiet approval. That's how operators gain reputation. Clean results, no noise. Soon, your assignments escalate. You arrange corporate takeovers by leaking strategic information at the right moment. You convince prosecutors to delay cases that could damage certain members. You connect billionaires with lawmakers who owe favors. Your phone contains numbers most people will never see. But something inside you changes. At first, the manipulation feels uncomfortable, then logical, then normal. You begin thinking about people the way the society does. Assets, risks, leverage points. You don't feel cruel, just efficient. That's the operator mindset. And once you see the world that way, it's impossible to unsee it. 2 years later, you're invited to a different meeting room, smaller, only 5 chairs. You recognize every face. These are the men who actually run things. One of them smiles slightly. Welcome to Level 4. Level 4, the broker. Brokers control relationships, not tasks, not packages, people. Your job becomes connecting power to power. A hedge fund manager wants regulatory protection. A senator needs campaign funding. A defense contractor wants a classified contract. You make the introductions. You arrange the dinners. Private rooms in 5-star hotels. No assistants, no recordings, just quiet conversations over expensive wine. A single meeting can move $300 million in government spending. A single phone call can kill a bill in Parliament. Brokers understand something initiates never see. The society doesn't control power, it coordinates it. You begin keeping mental maps, who owes favors, who's desperate, who's ambitious. You trade these connections like currency. Information flows through you constantly. Some nights you sit in your apartment surrounded by handwritten notes. You can't store them digitally, too dangerous. Instead, you memorize patterns, networks, weak points, alliances. Your income explodes. A consulting firm tied to the society pays you $1.8 million annually. Private investments bring in more, but money stops feeling important because influence feels better. A call from you can redirect government contracts, delay criminal investigations, protect someone from ruin, or cause it. The moral line becomes blurry, then invisible. But there's a trade-off. Brokers don't have real friendships anymore. Every relationship becomes strategic. Every conversation has potential value. You start wondering who's studying you the same way. That paranoia never leaves. 3 years pass. At the annual gathering, a seat at the main table is empty. The man who occupied it died quietly in Zurich. No scandal, no obituary, just a vacancy. The society votes. Your name wins. Level 5 begins. Level 5, the council member. Now you help decide who wins and who disappears. The council meets 4 times a year, different cities, different countries, always private. 8 members sit around the table. Decisions are made quietly. Votes are rarely unanimous, but they're always final. You review intelligence reports compiled by operators across the world, political instability, corporate wars, emerging billionaires, criminal networks. The society doesn't create chaos, it positions itself to benefit from it. Your first vote involves a technology startup about to dominate global data infrastructure. 2 rival investors want control. The council chooses one. The other collapses within 6 months after a series of regulatory investigations. You learn a new rule. The council doesn't destroy people directly. It nudges systems that do. Markets, courts, governments. Your psychological shift becomes obvious. You stop seeing individuals. You see outcomes. Entire industries become chess pieces. But the cost appears slowly. You sleep less. You trust almost no one. The circle around you shrinks until only society members remain. Even then, you watch them carefully, because everyone here understands power, and power attracts ambition. 5 years pass. One night during a meeting, the chairman looks at you longer than usual. You're ready for the next level. There are only 2 seats above the council. One just opened. Level 6, the architect. Architects design the future, not just react to it. You oversee operations across multiple countries, political funding networks, corporate alliances, media influence campaigns. Everything flows through long-term strategy. You study decades instead of months. Your projects include shaping elections without appearing involved, redirecting investment trends, building alliances between corporations and governments that will last 20 years. Your influence spreads quietly. You don't attend meetings anymore. You create them. You don't ask for favors. You structure systems that produce them automatically. Your identity